What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Playbook Sports Podcast. We've got a full studio for the first time in what feels like forever. Thank God we are all here. Yes. We've got a coffee pod. It's going to be a great day. This is how you start your day, folks. This is how you start your day. Briefly, let's touch on last week and what we saw in the NFL Week 14 and our game picks. Bobby winning the week, 8-5. Bobby is now 3 games back of Colin for first, who had a rough week. Almost had to use the freebie. I was really hoping. We got to get rid of these guys' freebies. Yeah. We need you guys to have a 3-win week so bad to get rid of those things.
If we got the freebie going into week 18, I'm feeling great.
Yeah, no kidding. Although there's no freebie. Like, if you have a freebie, it rolls into next season. So
I think it just cuts off.
Oh, you're just done? No freebies? Okay, all right. Fair enough. That makes me feel better. I got second last week, went 7-6. Also, only Mortal Lock winner right here. Boom, I'm back. That is crazy. I'm back. I'm all the way back. I cannot catch you guys because I still only have 3 wins, but I'm back. Who got third? Let's see. Addison and Sage both went 5-8. Addison is 4 games back of first. Sage is a lot more than that. And then Colin bringing up the rear this week, 4-9. Needed the Cowboys to not cover last night, and thankfully for you, they did. So, we're right there. I mean, it's 3 games between you and Bobby, 4 between you and Addison, 8 between me and you, and then 13 between you and Sage. So that's 1 or 2 weeks. It is. We're right here. It's on.
To have an absolute, probably my worst week of the year and still be, 3 games up? I'm okay.
We're right here.
That's huge.
Locks. Rougher week, 1-2 on locks this week. Buffalo moneyline sells terribly. Sells. And then, not terribly. They were right there. Lost by 2. Sean McDermott. What are we doing? Tom Brady was pissed. He's like, why are you not throwing the ball 3 times for the end zone? He was absolutely right. You just wasted one of you, burned a timeout, and then you can't stop the clock. Now you have to rely on onside kick. Yep, I think. Instead, you kick it deep, stop him 3 times, use your timeouts. You have a minute and the ball to go kick a field goal with Josh Allen. That's just
took the ball out of Allen's hands late.
Which is ridiculous because he's doing everything.
Literally doing everything for them, 100%. And then Cleveland-Pittsburgh over 43.5. What was the final score of that one? It was close, wasn't it?
They finished with 41, and our guy, Kadarius Toney, muffing a punt
That's
late.
Right.
Pittsburgh gets the ball in Cleveland's 20 with 3.5 minutes. It's like, okay, stall out, Cleveland. Use your timeouts. Use the 2-minute warning. Pittsburgh sells for 3. 44 over hits.
Yep.
No. Pittsburgh gets a couple first down, ices the clock, game over.
Yep.
No field goal. Finishes 3 points short.
Brutal. Yeah. Still 26-16 on locks this year, like a 63% hit rate. We'll take that.
I'll say the last month has been kind of rough. I think we're 1-2 for the last we were 2-1.
2-1 last week or something. Yeah.
We haven't had a 3-0 week in a long time.
It's been a while. We're due.
But 0-3 weeks
true.
on the year.
Very
so
true.
We'll take that.
Yes. Yeah. Very true. And then Addison, we had a reverse outrageous take this week.
Shit.
Reverse outrageous take. Calling for a you like that performance from Kirk Cousins and for the Falcons to blow out the Vikings.
Yeah.
Darnold said, no. You like that, buddy.
Yeah, seriously. Kirk Cousins, it's almost bench talk time.
8 picks in 4 games.
8
in 4 games.
Terrible.
No touchdowns.
Yeah, no touchdowns. It's just absolutely – his play is holding them back. They still scored 21. Bijan had a good day. Mm-hmm. Yep. He's turning the ball over way too much, and, that's a problem for a team that had a commanding lead in the division over the Bucs, especially with the head-to-head against them, and that is gone. They're a game back now. And the way Kirk's playing, they're not going to win shit.
No, you've got to go to Penix.
Yeah, you have to.
You almost have to.
It has to be a real discussion.
No shot.
Yeah, because they just paid him too. But if you're trying to win football games, I don't know. Kirk has looked pretty rough.
This offseason's going to be
because if you cut him, he was $90 million guaranteed. That's a $90 million 1-year deal, essentially, is what you just paid him, and that's spread out. So your cap hit next year is still like $50 million.
But then, are you wasting that rookie deal that you're getting on Penix?
Right, you don't want to because Cousins clearly isn't the answer.
They put themselves in this position. We were talking about this exact thing happening before the season started, and look where they are now. Kirk Cousins isn't living up to expectation. Everyone's shouting for Penix, and
now they're basically paying a rookie a full contract.
Yeah.
That's basically what it turns into.
Yeah. Just because they pissed away $50 million on Kirk Cousins.
So.
And, man, he looked good earlier in the year, too. Just falling apart. He just isn't mobile. He's just not mobile.
Yeah.
He cannot move. He is an absolute statue in the
pocket.
pocket.
He does have a connection with all of these weapons, but at the same time, it's not been hitting lately, and they've blown this division lead. Atlanta's got to be just fuming right now. The front office does at least.
Yeah. Agreed. I think that Raheem Morris might be getting a little heat if he doesn't make a move soon. You got to consider making a move.
It's definitely not a good look when you're 2 games up in the division. All of a sudden, you're a game back. You're under 500 now as the Falcons, and they were multiple games above 500. And just Kirk Cousins taking a massive step back. What's the point of drafting this kid if you're not going to play him? It was a weird situation to begin with, like Sage said, and it's made it worse with Kirk's play.
Yeah, 100%. So, rougher week here on the pod when it comes to our picks and locks and everything, but that's okay because this week we bounce back with a full 16-game slate. It's going to be electric. Cannot wait. Let's get into another round of Factor Cap NFL edition.
Yep.
First one I've got for you guys is around quarterbacks that will be coming available this offseason. So, I've got 3 of them I want to talk about here, and we can break it down however we need to. First one, Brock Purdy gets a long-term deal from the 49ers worth $58 million yearly. Current projection on Spot Track is $59 million a year for him for 4 years. Now this is 2 questions. If you are the I want to know, would you do that, or will it happen? So is it a fact or fiction that it's going to happen? And then follow that up by telling me I would or would not do that. And I'll start us. If Brock Purdy's a free agent, who signs him? Who goes and gets him? A lot of people. You think so? I think
a lot of teams go after him.
Really? I think he's a product of the Shanahan system. I really do. I think he gets paid. I think it's a fact that he gets his contract this offseason because what's the option after that? What are you going to do? You have an aging roster now. You're like, we could still win. We need him. I'm paying him. I would not pay him $58 million a year. I wouldn't. It's the same thing I questioned with Tua last year. I'm like, if Tua goes to free agency, who's paying him? Is the Raiders going to come through and offer him $60 million?
See,
who's paying him? I don't know.
Personally, I've seen enough. I mean, this
You've seen enough?
This past year, yeah,
Pass the rock.
So this past year, he's been dealt injuries over like week after week to the offensive line, to skill players, all this stuff. All of a sudden, Jawan Jennings is putting up great numbers. Yeah, we didn't know who this guy was really. He had like one good game the past like 3 years. Yeah. This year he's standing out. Definitely outperforming Brandon Ayuk, who got hurt, Debo's been gone here and there. George Kittle's been gone here and there. He's proved he can do this, and that was the biggest knock on him, He's already been to a Super Bowl. He's been to the playoffs. He's had
championship games.
He's had legacy games over and over. I mean, I was a big Brock Purdy hater even last year. This year, he's completely changed my mind. I think there's a ton of places out there that would pay him top dollar because, hey, if he can do this now and he's only growing, why not? I could see him going to somewhere like Minnesota right now. You don't like Sam Darnold? I mean, it's a similar system,
Oh, they gotta keep Sam Darnold.
We'll get to Sam Darnold.
We'll get to Sam Darnold here shortly.
Fair.
Well, also J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy, yeah, but like even if like,
he's a trade piece now.
Honestly,
I think he's a trade piece.
I think he could be. I mean,
we'll talk about the Vikings.
But Brock Purdy, he's done absolutely more than any of us imagined,
yes.
And he's done more than how many players out there that don't have the draft status that he had. He's done more than C.J. Stroud.
Oh, yeah.
Done
more than Lawrence.
He's done more
than Tua. Done more than Herbert. He's done more than almost any quarterback in the NFL outside of Patrick Mahomes.
Agreed.
Who else has done what he's done?
Who is more accomplished than him aside from personal accolades?
Yeah.
I would argue nobody.
Nobody except Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think they pay him and you would pay him?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. And I could think of 5 other teams that would pay him too.
Okay, I like it. Fair enough.
I think I would say fact that I pay him that money. I think Sage is right in that he's earned it with his play, especially with the injuries that the 49ers have dealt with, and he's just fought through it. And that was the question: what happens if the Avengers around him go down? Is he just along for the ride, or is he running the show? I like to think he's running the show based on the play this season. I'm almost in disagreement that a lot of teams would look for him just because how many teams are really going to be looking for QBs like that? Because we talk the Raiders. Well, they're going to probably pick a quarterback. The Giants, they're probably picking a quarterback. We're talking some teams. Okay, Rams maybe, Saints maybe. Yeah. Can they afford him? Right. The Browns can afford him with what they're paying Deshaun Watson. Yeah. And the Saints are in cap hell. What are the Rams going to do with Stafford? Are they going to move on from that contract? Is he going to retire? What's going to move on? So we're running out of teams. So I'm thinking the 49ers, it's a little cap that they're going to pay him that because they might not have to.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Because you're thinking of like what quarterbacks are out there in the draft, it might be safer just to pay him though.
No, that is true. That is true.
When you're looking at Shedeur Sanders,
that is true.
That is true. And you're like, this might be a little dicey.
But
they go with the guy who's been to the day.
That's true, but that's where it turns back into why the 49ers should get him because it's like, hey, if the Raiders sign him, are they good? I don't know about it. I don't know if he's that good. If he can elevate a really, really bad team, but I don't know if many quarterbacks would go to the Vegas Raiders right now and fix things. But I'm just going to say cap on the fact that 49ers pay him that much money. It's going to be close, $55 million. Don't get me wrong.
So you don't think he gets it?
I'm going to go with no, but it's damn close. but it's damn close.
Depends when is he signing his contract.
That's also true. That's also true.
Yeah.
That's also true.
I don't think any, because it would be the 2022 class, and none of those quarterbacks are worth a damn.
And I will say, obviously, if a team can make moves, they obviously could manipulate cap. But I just look around the league, maybe Seattle, and maybe they can raise it up because it's a division rival.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That.
Seattle definitely be in talks with them to try to raise the price if San Fran's going to pay more, or we're going to take your quarterback.
Yeah.
But I just think there's limited teams because a lot of teams right now think they have a quarterback or paying for a quarterback where it's like, can they get out of the situation? I don't know, but that's pretty much my factor cap
I
on
think the
that.
Falcons should go after him. Put another quarterback.
Do another one.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's just keep adding them.
Could see Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's one.
No, that's what I wanted to say. He's played well.
He's a free agent, so that's another one we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fact as well. Much like Sage said, I was a huge hater. Brock Purdy coming
we
out.
all were big haters.
Obviously, Cowboys
I'll
fan.
never forget his first game.
Oh, I know.
Coming in for the Dolphins, Colin goes, this game's over. This game's over. I was like, why? And he goes, Brock Purdy stinks. I saw him at Iowa State. He's terrible. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, man. We are back. And we scored a touchdown. And he lit us up. Lit us on fire.
Yeah, Brock Purdy hater. Obviously, Cowboy fan, Niners. They own us, so obviously some hate there historically as well. Brock Purdy sucked at Iowa State. I was surprised he was even drafted, although Mr. Irrelevant. But we talked about, is he a product of the Shanahan system? Well, if the Niners sign him, they still have Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
So I think, unless the Bears trade for them both.
I mean, first.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no. You guys are fine with your quarterbacks. But I would pay him that. Talking about what he's accomplished with where he was drafted is a huge talking point.
Oh, and he's way past that.
But yeah, other than Patrick Mahomes, who else has done more? I mean, obviously Hurts has been to a championship game and a Super Bowl, but Purdy's been there a couple times. Burrow's been there.
Right, exactly. We're talking about him with Burrow and Mahomes.
Right. Who's gotten there but lost to Patrick Mahomes?
Right.
Essentially that conversation. So I would pay him that money. Do the Niners do it with the rest of their roster that they have to build and how expensive the rest of some of those pieces can be? I don't know, but I would if I was the 49ers.
I think that's where the question comes into it for me is he a force multiplier? They're 6-7. They're 6-7 currently. So I don't know. He's put up good numbers with nobody really around him, and he's lost a ton of people, so that hurts him. But if you're paying him $60 million, Debo's getting older and worse. Christian McCaffrey's getting older and is very injury prone. Trent Williams is old and almost 1 foot out the door. You're going to have to kind of rebuild this roster a little bit. You've got some pieces you've got to build. And if you're paying Brock Purdy $60 million, that becomes a lot harder. I think that's the question they have to ask themselves.
Speculation, but I just wonder how much, if the guy gets drafted last, and I understand his play has warranted this contract talk. Maybe he's willing to take a couple million less to help the team out. Some quarterbacks are.
He's making less than $1 million right now.
Yeah, and
his money get really exciting. See that
that's true. And it's
they're like, we'll give you 50, and he's like, sold.
Right? I mean, we'll see though. It obviously comes down to if he wants the big bag or does he want to help a team potentially. And it's not. I'm not saying take $30 million, get your bag, but it's like, does he get top dollar? Does he get damn near close? But it really helps the 49ers create some wiggle room.
But when you think about any team that's ever had a quarterback on a contract year. Have they ever let their quarterback walk?
I don't think so.
Like, how many times does that actually
Even
happen?
The Cowboys signed Dak because you have to.
Yeah, we can think about it every single time and just be like, they're going to be in cap hell for sure. Are they going to be able to afford it? 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, most likely.
And
they sign the quarterback.
The answer to the conversation is what happens for the 49ers if they let Purdy walk.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
What do you do?
What's the alternative?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you go get the next guy we're going to talk about, Sam Darnold? Do you bring him back? Because I think, factor cap, second one for the quarterback edition here. Sam Darnold's getting a 4-year deal worth at least $45 million a year this offseason. Sam Darnold's numbers this season, I'm going to pull them up really fast. I should have already had them up, but I didn't.
10 picks.
Yeah, so, go off. 3,300 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and the team he is leading is 11-2.
The numbers are comparable to Goff this season.
Yeah, I'm saying absolute fact. I'm going 100% fact he's getting that contract. I don't know who from, because is Minnesota going to do it? And I think if I'm Minnesota, I'm like, sorry, JJ. This just happens. It's like the Trey Lance situation. They drafted Trey Lance, brought in Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy looks way better. See ya. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, that sucks that we invested a high pick in you. We have somebody playing the position at a high level. Sam Darnold has played the position at the highest level this season. He's a top 5 quarterback this season in most stats. Yeah. And if you can get him at a relative discount compared to those other guys, and you know he works, I'm paying him, man. And you look who else got contracts similar to this. Kirk Cousins in Atlanta got this much money. Not great. Derek Carr got this much money to be the Saints quarterback. Not great. Yeah. Sam Darnold has proven on your team with this roster he can win and he can play well. I'm paying him. Colin, factor cap.
I think it's a fact as well. $45 million. You look at as quick as 2 years ago, Daniel Jones got 4 years, $40 million a year. And I would argue, I think it's going to come down to what we see in the playoffs this season from Minnesota, because a huge part of the Daniel Jones getting that contract was that one good year where they went into Minnesota and won a playoff game. So it's kind of, hey, we just won a playoff game. Yeah. I deserve this money. So I need to see what they do in the playoffs this season. But I do believe he should get a contract because you talk about his age as well. Yeah. He's not a super old quarterback at this point.
He's younger than a lot of the stars right now.
Yeah, so he's right now hitting his prime, and he's finally in a good situation. Much like Brock Purdy, it's almost like situation dependent almost.
Yes.
Because
look what he's done in his career everywhere else.
Correct. Good offensive minded head coach, play caller, and then you got all the weapons across the board. I mean, my goodness, Atlanta's defense, their secondary this last week was in shambles. Yeah. But is Sam Darnold a product of that O'Connell system with the surrounding pieces, or is he just this Sam Darnold? But I would pay him that. I think he has earned that.
Yeah, I'm going to say fact that it is what he gets. I don't know if it's a fact for the Vikings, though. I don't know their exact cap situation, but the talk has been that he's played himself out of their price range, and I don't know if that is exactly the fact, and I understand you can manipulate it, but they also have a rookie quarterback, and I understand, Colin, I think the huge thing is what do they do? And do they win a playoff game? Do they scrape by? Do they get blown out in the next one if they win? I mean, I think if it's a championship game appearance, I think it's a guarantee they bring him back. But we'll have to see when push comes to shove, and I get that sort of pushing this question down the road. But right now, I don't think they can make that answer because it's great you're 11-2, but if he implodes in the playoffs or something, do you want to commit to that long term when you have a guy you drafted in the top 10 in the wings, and an injury really kept him from probably getting potential playing time this year? But who knows if Darnold played great and he was healthy, how that situation would have panned out. I do think Darnold's worth that, and there are maybe some teams that would be in that conversation for that price range.
They are currently 6th in cap space next year with $80 million available.
Okay, I mean,
they've got money for it. They do have the money for it technically, but it just comes down to would you do it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, and then I think they probably would because of the way that he's played. Because you're not wrong, Nate. With the way he's played this season, I don't think you can say he's not a top 5, top 7 quarterback. Exactly, it's the same thing. Because then if JJ's not good and Darnold go produces somewhere else, he clearly has a connection with the receivers, and But I'll say it's fact though that he's getting that money.
He's getting that money. Okay, Sage.
I'm going to go with Cap right here. And I'll go against you guys here, especially for the Vikings right now. And for one reason, we were talking about with Brock Purdy, like who would step up for the 49ers? Mm-hmm. Well, they just spent a premium pick on a quarterback right there. So at first, I don't think it's going to be the Vikings. I think, he played his way out of his situation right there. And I think you're going to have to look at who else would want Sam Darnold, right? Yeah, he's still hitting his prime. He's a younger quarterback, 27, right?
Yeah.
But even then, I have all of this data that shows that he can't do it. With the Panthers, with the Jets, with the Niners when he's come in a few times, all that stuff. I have all this data that he can't do it, and all of a sudden you get the best wide receiver core in the league, T.J. Hawkinson, a decent offensive line, a defense that has been phenomenal. You get all these things that work in the right spot, and why would all those guys not think, let's just plug in the young guy that has championship caliber mindset because he just won one in college, The goal is not to have a good team. The goal is to win a Super Bowl, right? Well. And all of a sudden, if you take J.J. McCarthy, you don't pay him. You have $80 million in cap to build an even better team. True. Why would you not go for that? Yeah. And then when you look at everyone else around the league, I mean, it's $10 million less. The $45 million, $10 million less than what we were expecting for Brock Purdy, right? I mean, if people aren't willing to pay Brock Purdy, they're not going to be willing to pay Sam Darnold, Then I could see all of those teams go out and draft one of the guys that you got to take a shot on. Shadur, Cam, all that stuff. Hey, I'm not thrilled about this quarterback class, but I've seen what Sam Darnold can do, and if you don't have the pieces, which a lot of those teams don't, like the Raiders, who's their number one? Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker now, stuff like that. They don't have the team ready to get a Sam Darnold and expect to win games. Yeah. So for that's why I'm out, Cat.
Okay. I think that's really the big question for both of these quarterbacks is they're not Josh Allen, they're not Lamar Jackson, they're not Patrick Mahomes. They're not guys that are going to go anywhere and elevate that team. They're just not. But then it's okay, but if I take them off of this team, how's that team look? Yeah. How good is this team next year? How good is Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy? We don't know. Yeah. But we do know with Sam Darnold, they're currently 11-2, and he's lighting the league on fire. Yeah. So it's very tough. It's a tough decision to make. It's like, why'd you draft J.J. McCarthy?
That makes me grin as a Bears fan.
Yeah.
I just think that we're going to have to go through this because this was worst-case scenario. They wanted Darnold to maybe play 5 games.
Yep.
Look okay, and they're 3-2 or 2-3.
And then you throw in J.J. McCarthy.
And then the injury happens, and Darnold leads you to a 5-0 start, and you're like, well, shit.
Well, here we go.
We're the hot shit all of a sudden.
Yep, we've got to make a pick.
They
Yeah.
lost 2 games in close succession.
Yeah.
Close succession, everyone was like, all right, well.
It's like, there he is. Sam Darnold's back.
Since then, hey, he's
I think
picked it back up.
Yeah, 5-0, 5-2.
5-2, 6 win streak
So
again.
it's like, well, 2 big win streaks on the season. That's
Yeah.
damn impressive.
And almost a counter argument to my Daniel Jones example is look what he's done since the contract. Like, can these guys who have done it just for that one season and
Right, the
shown
contract year.
can they
Right.
continue that over to the next
Right.
few seasons following? And I don't know.
And at the end of the day, how many the story is old as time that a player in his contract situation plays better.
Crazy.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God!
Contract
There's
season.
millions
That's
of
crazy.
dollars on the line, improves his play, and then once he gets the bag, his drive to be great maybe just calms down a little bit,
Absolutely.
and it's like that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough in the
Enough to
NFL.
suck again. Yeah. Okay, and then last QB I want to touch on quickly here. I think Factor Cap Russell Wilson gets a big contract from the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think that's cap, and I
Yeah.
think that's because Russell Wilson doesn't demand one. I think he gets some kind of compensation that's an improvement, but I'm going to go, he goes, you guys didn't give up on me. You gave me a shot when the rest of the league was done. I mean, I was free.
Yeah.
Anybody could have got me. No one wanted me. You guys got me before you went out and got Justin Fields. I was the plan from the jump, and you put me in when I got healthy, and it's looked good. And again, I guess it's dependent on play.
Right.
If they make the conference championship, maybe he does get a larger
Maybe he gets a
contract,
little
but I think it's a situation where they're in the playoffs, maybe win a game. Who knows how they compete, but I think it's going to be a situation where he takes a decent-sized contract because it's a depreciation thing because he wants to continue to compete because that's why he's playing football at this age, this stage of his career because he's been around a while now.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Russ ain't no young gun.
36.
Yeah, Russ ain't no young gun. He's playing because he wants to win championships again and regain that feeling that he captured in Seattle. He wants it again. And I think he understands that if I take less money, it will help the Steelers. And I'm going to go with cap, and it's strictly because I think Mr. Unlimited says let's have a limited contract.
Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sage?
I agree with everything you said right there, Addison. That was very well put. I mean, Russell Wilson, I don't think he's the kind of guy to ask for top dollar.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know, he's unapologetically himself.
He got that bag.
He's gotten that bag before, and when you factor in the age and everything, yeah, like he's absolutely going to appreciate them taking that chance, you know, and especially when they were winning games with Justin Fields and they still put him in. I think that probably meant so much to him, and he's championship hunting right there, and I think he's on a great team to do it. Even though I hate him to death.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have to. But even then, like he's outperforming everyone's expectations. We saw what happened in Denver. He was written off.
Yeah.
He didn't write back though.
Did not write back.
Seriously.
Did not write back.
No, he did not.
No, I think Russell Wilson. He's going to be there for $40 million for probably 3 more years.
Yeah.
So you think $40 million a year?
Yeah.
40 mil, 3
I
years.
can see 30 plus million, 40 million
Yeah.
around there, but it's not going to be top of the dollar. It's not going to be 50 million plus.
Okay.
Just because
It's not going to
I
be
think
anything huge.
He's going to want to
30 to
help.
40
He's going to
a year.
want to help the Steelers. Really.
He'll probably get like a little less than what Daniel Jones just signed for recently.
I guess
Okay.
I look at it like they're going to let Fields walk. They have to because they're not going to pay him unless he comes back for
He comes
$3
back for
million a
nothing,
pop.
right.
Because he's getting it's a 5th-year option, and I'm pretty sure it's 18 million
Right.
plus. They're not signing that, especially with the way Russ is.
Well, Fields is going to be Lamar's backup next year, so
Hey, I can see that.
That'd be all right, actually.
there we go.
Yeah, next year the Steelers have 57 in cap space, so they got a little money to play with still.
They'll also take it into consideration. I just think those older quarterbacks that
Gotta
have been
win,
there
plus
know
win.
what to do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's our take, I think.
Okay.
On this side, at least.
Colin.
I'm with you guys on the cap as well. You talked about Russell Wilson appreciating the situation, the opportunity, not wanting the bag because he's already gotten a bag. But on the flip side, I think
Yeah.
that's facts. Yeah, his household's doing well with income.
Yes.
But on the flip side, I think Pittsburgh as well. Like, I don't see them offering a big bag to Russell Wilson and be like, "Hey, if you want to come back for this, we'd be more than happy to have you. Everything worked
Pay
great."
Justin Fields $10 million a year, right? Cheap.
Or we'll go out and get Brock Purdy or somebody if they're available.
I don't
But-
want Brock Purdy in my division.
Oh,
I wouldn't worry about him.
Fit on San Fran.
we'll see with Pittsburgh's weapons and
Yeah, but
everything.
Pittsburgh's weapons
If
and
he
the
was.
offensive line, too.
But-
He might
But
struggle.
I would say cap as well. I don't see Russell Wilson getting a huge bag this offseason with the other quarterbacks that could be available, as well as having Fields there. And Pittsburgh, I don't really see them. I don't know historically how they've paid quarterbacks, and I'm assuming Big Ben's the only one they've really paid, recent memory.
Big Ben made money, but even then, he usually took some kind of discount
Yeah.
because he loved the city.
Yeah, so I could see Russell Wilson taking a team-friendly deal, or even them just moving on if they can't come to terms on a contract.
Okay. All right. And then last factor cap we'll do for today. Coming in week 1 of the 2025 NFL season, there will be 10 new head coaches for week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Now, I've written out some teams I'll go over with you guys here to help. So I've got already fired coaches. We've got Bears, Jets, Saints. Those are the 3 coaches that have already been fired. Now I have listed possibly fired going to next year. Jags, Giants, Raiders, Patriots, Cowboys, Falcons, Browns, Bengals. As possible. Not fired, just something to think about. Now, obviously, there's not 32 teams on here. I'm not listing every team. And there's maybe some other ones that I didn't mention. I didn't put Tennessee on here, but you could argue Tennessee because of Callahan having a rough year. Let's see. Who else don't I have on here that could be? Yeah. So Jags, Giants, Raiders, Patriots, Bears, Jets, Saints, Cowboys, Falcons, Browns, Bengals. Those are the ones just off the top of my head looking around the NFL at who may actually fire their head coach or who has already fired their head coach. I didn't include Carolina because I think they give another year to Matt Canales. Obviously, I didn't include John Harbaugh because that's insane.
If we lose first round, it's happening.
Obviously, no McVay, none of the coaches that you're like, no, they're not going to fire their head coach, not this year. No Sean Payton like those.
Yeah.
So I say cap to that one, but I think it's like 8.
Yeah, 8 is the normal number. It's a third of the league.
Yeah, I think we have at least 8 brand new head coaches next year, but I'm going to say cap to 10. But you could argue it. You could really argue it if teams get does Atlanta go off of Raheem Morris after 1 year? Does he need to make some adjustments? Do the Patriots get rid of Gerard Mayo after 1 year because he's called the team soft and the team is soft and that directly reflects the head coaching staff. So I don't know, Addison. What do you think?
I think it's cap as well, just because I don't think Cleveland moves on from Stefanski. I think that'd be a mistake. I'm gonna go with Dallas doesn't make the move off McCarthy, even though they should, because I have maybe written down, but I'm gonna go with they don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Atlanta doesn't move on, and I'm gonna go with New England doesn't move on as well, just because Drake May has flashed enough that maybe that Kraft is looking at Mayo, and that it's the belief Belichick potentially had in this guy after him, and there had to have been talks between Belichick and Kraft about a successor, and if Belichick gave him a vote of confidence, I think he gets a couple years. I think Atlanta's a similar situation. They fought to get Raheem Morris back on that staff because he was a coordinator there at one point, and I think they're going to give him a little bit of time. I think Tennessee will give Callahan some time, same with Carolina, Canales, but I'm just going to go not enough. Obviously, the teams that have already fired coaches are going to. I think Jacksonville's moving on from Peterson. Giants will be moving on from Dabo as well. Yeah, in Las Vegas. Those are the 3 that I think are probably the guys that get fired confirmed in my mind. I think McCarthy's on edge. I guess it's up to Jerry. Does he wake up and have a massive change of heart because he's an old man? Who knows? Seriously, I think that's a possibility, but I'm going to go with he doesn't move. So I'm going to go cap, and it's not as many as people think. Obviously, the openings already. I think only 3 more openings happen the rest of the way.
All right, Sage.
Yeah, I do think 8 is closer to that number right there. I think the biggest one that I think is going to shock a lot of people, but I'm not shocked about, is Cincinnati. Yeah. I think Zach Taylor.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, I don't think Taylor's going.
I do.
Yeah.
Personally, because I think Joe Burrow has been winning in spite of Zach Taylor,
that's right.
instead of Zach Taylor being the reason for them winning. I think when you look at all the times they had successful seasons, that defense was playing on point, and it was because of Lou Anarumo. And without Lou Anarumo, possibly, because he's been getting head coaching opportunities for the past few years and just no one's picked him up on it. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but yeah. I think just clearing house might be best for him, especially if someone like Ben Johnson, can you imagine him with the Bengals? Something like that. That's a scary thought because I think that would tear the league apart. But
their offense is not the problem right now.
It's absolutely not the problem. But I think the Bengals, I think that's one you definitely got to watch. But like you said, we already have 3 head coaches fired. I do think Mike McCarthy is on. It's like a 50-50 shot. 50-50. Like all of his players right now are talking and saying like, we want McCarthy. We love McCarthy.
Dak with a ringing endorsement.
Even like a lot of players have came out and they're like, hey, no, like we want to stick with him, and that surprised me personally. I expected a little dodginess when they were asked questions.
Like, I don't make those decisions.
Yeah, and they were like, no, like we want him. And that was eye-opening. He's obviously won the locker room over. But when you look at Atlanta, I think, do they really give up after 1 year, you know? Those one-year coaches, there hasn't been many. Yeah. When you look at the history of the league.
Yeah, they gave Arthur Smith 3 seasons.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was disgusting.
So when you look at first-year coaches that'll be leaving, I mean, I think Atlanta stays. I think
Tennessee, Callahan.
I think Tennessee with Callahan stays. But like Las Vegas, that's definitely a possibility. Antonio Pierce, they're probably going to look for an offensive-minded guy because they're going to get probably the number 1 pick in the draft right now. Yeah. You have to look at all those things, and when I look at all those things, I think there's a lot more safe spots than usual this offseason.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
My bad. I just want to touch real quick on the Cincinnati one because I didn't even mention them because I do think that's a potential one. I just think good quarterbacks save jobs a little longer than other QBs. Like, yeah, I mean, hey, you're not wrong. When a good quarterback, you know, all it takes is this was a bad year, injuries. You know, all it takes is next year they're good all of a sudden, and hey, he's fine. He's a good coach. He's a good coach. But at the end of the day, head coach, your defense is dog shit, and it's been. And what are you going to do to fix it? Got to figure that out. But Joe Burrow would be pretty entertaining for any head coach candidate.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to see Mike Vrabel take over that job. Fix the defense and let the offense do its thing. Burrow's going to do his thing. That's why I like what the Chargers did. Yeah. Jim Harbaugh hired to fix that defense, let Herbert and that offense do their thing.
They could just promote Lou Anarumo.
Except his defense has been awful.
But it rarely is.
I
think that's more of a case of just like we have shit players right now.
Lack of talent. Yeah.
Contracts.
Although they're going to lose Trey Hendrickson at the offseason because he's a free agent. He's going to be expensive.
He demanded a trade.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think he's out the door. So, I don't know. Cincinnati's in an interesting spot.
Yeah.
Colin, what are your thoughts?
I'm joining everybody with Cap as well on 10. Even 8, I think, could be Cap. I'm with Addison when you said like 6 to 7 there. I kind of think in that range. Just because going down the teams here, Rams no, Niners no, Kansas City no. I think Stefanski does stay in Cleveland. I do like him as a head coach. Cincinnati is very interesting because it's, do we think we're being held back by the coach? Do we think if we bring in someone else, can they elevate us back to that championship game Super Bowl level? Tennessee's interesting as well, as you mentioned, first-year coach. I think when it comes down to these fringe first-year coaches, it comes to what was the preseason expectation?
Right.
And what was Tennessee's expectation coming into the season versus where they're at now? I think it's very similar. It was a rebuilding situation. The ownership, front office have to know that. The coach coming has to know that as well. So I think Tennessee probably does keep Callahan for another season or two, depending on coaching candidates available, interested in the job.
That could not even get a chance to get a quarterback other than
True, because he was just given Levis.
Yeah. I mean, we talked on Sunday. Pollard had 100 rushing yards and he had 6 points. That's terrible.
That's awful.
New Orleans obviously available. I think Dan Quinn in Washington staying. Harbaugh's interesting in Baltimore, probably staying. Giants, I do agree. Moving on from Dable probably. Dallas keeping McCarthy, I do believe. You talked about the locker room, and then Jerry, I don't see him. He's never said anything bad about Mike McCarthy.
No, they're buddies.
Since smashing watermelons a couple years ago.
I'll say the Colts are interesting.
Steichen?
Yeah,
I didn't think
there's
there was
3 teams that weren't mentioned that I think are interesting, actually. And I think it's the Colts is one.
I think Philly.
The Colts is one.
I thought about
I thought about Philly. I think Miami's one. And I think Tampa Bay is one.
I'm saying no on Miami because they extended McDaniel just this offseason, and because you look at what he does with his quarterback. When he has Tua, although I will say I think he's a Tua merchant.
Yeah.
Everyone's like Tua's only good because of McDaniel. I think maybe McDaniel's only good because of Tua.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, I could see that being true.
I don't see him going anywhere because they just extended him, and when Tua plays, the offense moves the ball very, very well.
Right. And I agree with all that. I just think that his offensive philosophy, I think, is we have noticed, and the entire NFL knows, that you can beat them in the cold, and you can beat them by out-physicaling them.
Yes.
You know? And he doesn't really seem intent on changing that philosophy whatsoever. Right? And I think there's the Indianapolis job that you mentioned. I mean, hey, you picked Anthony Richardson.
True.
You know, that was on you, and he's not progressing as well as we'd like to. I mean, yeah, we saw one game-winning drive recently. Yep. Bryce Young has 4 of them. True. Which is only 4 wins.
Only 4 wins in the NFL.
Bryce Young has 4. Should have been 5. Should have been 6. But no, that's why I think Shane Steichen might be on the hot seat. I'm a Shane Steichen believer personally. Yeah. And then when you look at Tampa Bay, I think their offense is absolutely just plowing people down for Todd Bowles. But
the playoffs, I don't know how you move on.
Right, exactly. But his defense is the one that's absolutely just gashed every single week. You know, when their secondary is one of the last in the league, and you have pretty decent players, and you have Vita Vea, you have Levante David, and you're still getting killed. I mean, Baker Mayfield has to play his heart out every single week just to sniff it, and he does. Yep. I hope you win your lawsuit. So that's 3 teams that I think just could be surprise teams, you know? I mean, even when you said, like, Mike McDaniels had an extension, that doesn't mean much. There's a lot of coaches out in the league that are getting paid from other teams.
Yeah. That's it. It's just owner's money. It affects nothing for the cap situation.
Right.
So it's like, you know, at the end of the day, that's where I'm always like, you know, maybe not. Screw the owners. Make them pay more. Screw it.
Yeah.
But I think Tampa Bay is safe if they make playoffs. If they implode, then obviously that is a situation where that open up. But just based on how it looks, I think Indy's making the playoffs. So I think that's definitely safe. Their schedule is just so easy. They got this tough game right here.
They have to win this game.
So, but after this, you know, so if they win this, I think that would put Shane Steichen in a safe situation. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Chiefs as well. The low 5.
Jonathan Gannon, we think he's safe for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, they're 6 and 7.
They've shown enough flashes. At one point, they were in first. Obviously, faltered the last couple of weeks, but that's what they've been sort of all year. Everybody in the West has been up and down, up and down.
Yeah, they have. The NFC West is crazy.
2 in a row now.
West is wild.
I will say, Colin, you made a good point about Eagles, maybe. I mean, Sirianni, what do you do?
Does it blow up?
What does Sirianni do? He's so coordinator dependent.
Well, and
he
there's
has to have
so
good
much
coordinators.
locker room drama year in and year
All
out. How
the
many
time.
guys have a C on their chest, and they're the ones that are starting and
Grant
continuing?
just had to release a statement to ESPN. He's going to apologize to Hurts and Brown because he's dishing drama out that they were friends and now they're not. Like, Colin, you're not wrong. That's insane that a captain's doing that. For what? Clicks?
Yeah, right.
Views? Or
Views.
does he just not realize what he's saying? Take mics out of these players' hands, damn it. They don't know what they're saying.
Yeah. Quit letting them talk.
Crazy.
Quit letting
When
them
you look at
talk.
coordinator-dependent head coaches, I feel like a head coach it's a management position. You know, you're still hiring good offensive and defensive coordinators.
Right.
You're still making those choices to get the team where it is. So
Sure.
I think that is a talent in itself.
Sure.
They had that bad year last year where they still made the playoffs.
Yeah, lost in the first
And
round.
they had bad coordinators, and then
Right.
they switched it all up.
Got good coordinators again.
Yeah.
You look at Sirianni's 3 years, right? Goes to the however many years, goes to the Super Bowl when he has Jonathan Gannon running the defense, and he has who was running the offense? Shane Steichen running the offense, and then last year 2 bad coordinators, and the team falls apart. It's like, okay, so you have to hire guys that you aren't going to lose, because if you lose them, the team's going to suck if you lose these
I will
coordinators.
say the team has been good the whole time he's been there, but he's 3 for 3 in playoff seasons as the coach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was a year where it was ugly with his first season, and they figured a way to get into the playoffs.
True.
And then
But I will say, no one's hiring Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore as head coaches.
No.
I think that Fangio's done with
Head coach, yeah, he's a DC.
Kellen Moore, yeah, still.
And he doesn't want to leave Philly because his mom.
Yeah, still a couple years away.
So, okay. That was fact or cap for the NFL. Let's dive into power rankings, week 15 of the NFL season. I'll start us out. And I'm going to go number 1 is the Detroit Lions. My number 1 and number 2 teams are the same. Detroit, number 1, Philadelphia, number 2. Philly made it interesting. They're just fortunate that none of the teams really below them did enough to impress me and to jump them. So I'll keep Philly at 2 and Detroit obviously at 1. Yeah, they're awesome, man. They're just awesome. I mean, beating the Packers again, pretty well done. Yeah, they're awesome. Number 3, I'm giving them respect. Pittsburgh Steelers. Got to give them some love, man. I mean, Russell Wilson's balling. That defense is balling. That's a team that you're like, ooh, I don't know if I want to play them in the playoffs. We'll see. I mean, they've looked damn good, man. Outside of the snow globe loss to the Browns, they've won 8 games in a row.
That's Russell's only loss as a starter.
Yeah, the last time they had lost was to the Cowboys back at the beginning of October. Shout out Cowboys. So I'm going.
Tough team.
That's a team you don't want to see. It's a team you don't want to see. Number 4, I got the Buffalo Bills dropping from 3 to 4 after that loss to the Rams. Just one spot, because Pittsburgh looked good and Buffalo's offense looked good, but man, that defense got gashed by the Rams. And they play a tough game this week. Bills have to play in Detroit. The Bills struggle. Who do the Bills struggle against? They struggle against teams that are physical. Baltimore earlier in the year. The Rams this week. Lions this upcoming week. If they lose to the Lions, it's a very clear blueprint on how to beat the Bills. You just have to out-physical them and let Josh Allen score 6 touchdowns. It doesn't matter because you're going to out-physical them and you're going to score more. Josh Allen MVP. Number 5, Kansas City Chiefs drop 1 spot. That's more so for Pittsburgh coming up. I've had the Chiefs in the 4 spot for a while. At some point, that devil magic's going to run out. I don't know how they do it. I mean, you doink through a winning field goal.
Twice.
You've got to be kidding me. after blocking a field goal to win a game and getting a fumble. I mean, my God, it's every week. It's every single week something crazy happens that leads to them winning the football game, man. It's nuts. They're still going to win the Super Bowl, but a week-to-week basis, they just don't look good. They don't look good doing it. So do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? Yes. But, man, please look good once. Just give me one game where I'm like, oh, yeah, these are the guys. These are the guys. Honorable mention. I'm dropping Green Bay out after their loss, and I'm moving the Vikings in. I can't disrespect the Vikings anymore. I should probably have them even maybe higher, but I like the 5 teams ahead of them more in a head-to-head basis. But the Vikings have just looked damn good. They're, 11-2 on the year. They look fantastic. Sam Darnold looks fantastic. That defense is flying around. Yeah, so I'm going Lions, Eagles, Steelers, Bills, Chiefs, Vikings. Addison.
I'm going to start off number 1 as well. It's the same team as pretty much everybody around football. It's just the Detroit Lions. Just going to move on pretty much. They're the best team in the NFC. Philly's close, but the Detroit Lions are the number 1 team in football until otherwise stated. Number 2, I still got the Kansas City Chiefs here. I know it's higher than everybody else on their power rankings, but I just don't care. Jet up, get up. Had a good segment, and Rex Ryan was flaming the Chiefs, saying that they're the Steelers and the Vikings of the past, that were the teams that had the most one-win victories in the season, and how they flamed out in the playoffs pretty much immediately, both first-round exits. And I get that, but this is Mahomes. Teddy Bruschi responded with, this is Patrick Mahomes that we're talking about. This is Andy Reid that we're talking about. And I think that does give them the benefit of the doubt. I get it. They're winning ugly. They're winning weird. Are they going to be able to do that in the playoffs? Who knows? I'm going to go that when the money's on the line and in the playoffs, the game isn't this ugly for them. Because guess what? They just step up to the occasion. And I get it because it's fun to do, but we're knocking a team that has, 1 loss? 2 losses. Yeah, one loss. One loss to the Bills.
At Buffalo.
Yeah. So, and they scored 30 in the game. Didn't they? And the Bills scored 40?
No, it's 30-21.
Okay, 30-21. It was a 10-point game, so it wasn't even a blowout. But I'm going to have my Chiefs at number 2. Number 3, I'm going to put the Philly Eagles. Like we pretty much said, their offense, obviously the questions of the chemistry going on right now, but they're winning football games and throwing touchdowns to A.J. Brown. We'll figure that out real quick for Jalen Hurts. I can promise him that. Number 4, I'm going to have the Buffalo Bills after a loss. I'm not tweaking after the loss for the Bills. They've been on a streak right now. No, I have them at 4. I lived them. Yeah, I know.
We both have them at 4.
We both have them at 4, but the loss it is a tough one. They've been on a good stretch of football. They ran into a team that got healthy offensively, and they put up some points in a game that they hadn't really done that all season, the Rams, and the Bills just weren't ready for it, but they answered offensively, and it was a close game late. Questionable decision by McDermott. End of the game, play calling. I get that's not on him, but still, maybe a little it is. Number 5, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense is elite. TJ Watt scared me for a second. They were acting like he was super hurt, and then he comes back in the next play. So that's good that he's healthy, but the defense is elite for Pittsburgh, and their offense is almost arguably elite at this point, even though they have no receiver weapons. Without Pickens, they still move the ball through the air. They're able to dominate the Browns. So out of the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5, and then number 6, the Minnesota Vikings. 11-win team at number 6 in the power rankings is insane. I guess that's just where it turns into the thought of what is Sam Darnold when the lights are brightest. We'll have to find out, and I think that's 6 on my power ranking. So I'm going to go Lions, Chiefs, Philly, Bills, Pittsburgh, Minnesota.
All right. I'll start 6-1. So I'll start honorable mention. Baltimore Ravens. All right. Listen, we're coming off a bye week. We're getting Michael Pierce back. We're getting Michael Pierce back this week. TJ Tampa is starting to come back right now.
Who are you leaving out for the Ravens? I can't wait to hear this.
The Chiefs.
Okay.
I think every single team on this list beats the Chiefs right now.
Sure. Didn't the Chiefs already play the Ravens?
Week
And
1.
beat 'em.
Week 1 by a toe.
That's true.
Week 1 by a toe.
They would have to get the 2. They would have to get the 2.
And then gone over.
That's just.
We were going for 2. We were going for 2.
I love that the 2-point conversion is just confirmed made, even though it's never
guarantees getting it.
But I get that's fair.
We were going to win that.
No, that's true. That is true.
We were going to win that one. Honorable mention, Baltimore Ravens. I do think that a lot of people are forgetting about this team, especially coming off a bye week. A little recency bias for every other team, but I think this team could go into anywhere and win a game right now. Number 5, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, it seemed like you were mad about that. You hit the table.
Oh, no, sorry, I got my phone. Sorry.
I was like, damn.
I'm at 6, so I totally feel that.
Yeah. No, Minnesota Vikings, I mean, they're just doing it. They're getting it done every single week. That defense is rolling. Sam Darnold, like we've already talked about this entire episode, Sam Darnold is rolling with the 2 top receivers in the game right now. I mean, Jordan Addison is almost outperforming Jay Jettis.
Yeah, he's insane. 3
Crazy.
touchdowns is wicked.
Number 4, I have the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, I mean, Josh Allen just put up 6 touchdowns. Their defense is actually playing a lot better than the pieces they have.
Except for giving up 44. Other than what just happened.
Other than playing Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
Ignore that.
And then number 3, it pains me to say, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gosh, I mean, if they can put up, like 40-some points against the Bengals, even though it's the Bengals defense, just putting up that many points against an NFL team with Russell Wilson and George Pickens and Najee Harris, which are all,
I think... George Pickens this weekend either. No George Pickens this weekend.
Yeah.
They're playing without him.
They're just rolling, and that's scary to see. And they're playing against my number 2 team this week in the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they escaped one. They escaped one last week against the Panthers, but who doesn't?
Is correct.
Everyone else here has the Chiefs on their lists, and they escape one every single week.
Literally.
So give me the Eagles here.
If you reverse teams, sorry, not to interrupt you. If you reverse teams' record in 1-score games, the Chiefs would be 2-11 on the year.
Yeah.
And those are like coin flip games.
Bears be the number 2 team in the
Bears
NFC.
would be 8-4.
Ooh.
8-5 now.
Yeah, 8-5. Okay, go ahead.
And then number 1, absolutely no surprise, the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell has balls made of steel. And
or is he just really stupid?
A little bit of both, I think.
I think it's a combination.
That was a weird decision.
I think the stupidest thing I've seen, aside from that, is all the Packers fans saying his knee was down.
Yeah.
And it's like, you clearly don't know what football is.
You have to be touched. It's not college.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not college.
Yeah, and if the intent is something that, speculation, it could be different for other refs.
think he was
Whatever.
giving himself up?
No refs calling that.
No.
If a single ref does that, they're never ref in another NFL game.
Correct. Instantly fired.
Yep, absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I need to go into why the Lions are the best team in the NFL.
No, you do not.
They're the number 1.
Yeah. I will say, though, interesting decision by Campbell. We'll talk about picks, I'm sure. But
Interesting.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of shakeup this week as well, as we all kind of did with certain teams kind of winning or not playing or losing. Number 1, the Lions stay here, obviously, until further notice. Like you said, Addison, not much to say about the Lions.
No.
Number 2, I am going to be a victim of the moment.
Steelers.
I'm going to go out of my power rankings in total to number 2, Minnesota Vikings.
Whoa.
And it's prisoner of the moment. I get it. But you talk about a team
teams.
couple NFC North teams. You talk about a team that's won, 6 straight games?
Yeah.
You just got a career game out of Sam Darnold. You look around the pieces on offense getting healthy and being there now.
Aaron Jones is a monster right now.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is hungry. You talk about one of the best teams in recent memory that's going to have to go on the road and play a playoff game. That's going to be terrible. Maybe.
If it's a one, they week 18, they play Lions.
Week 18 for home field in the 1 seed would be a crazy game.
Electric. In the NFC North, the division, oh my
In
God.
the division. Number 3, I did flip my 3 and 4 from last week. I am going to move Kansas City back to number 3. Another hard-fought division game against a team they kind of are frisky against in recent memory. My LA Chargers.
Collins Chargers.
But they just keep squeaking out these wins. 7 straight games they haven't covered a spread, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have moral locked them last week. That was on me. Number 4, I do have Philly just dropping the 1 spot in a win. Didn't like the way they performed. Don't like the way Jalen Hurts has looked through the air this season, especially in the last few weeks. 103 passing yards in a game.
Terrible.
103 against the Panthers with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith healthy.
What are you doing?
No, I started A.J. Brown.
Oh.
I mean, my God. This guy is a glorified running back. I'm so glad I was ahead of my time on that because this guy stinks to the air. Oh, he's hurt again. He's sliding behind the line. He's not performing because he's hurt. Well, guess what? Stop letting him run the football.
I never heard anything about Jalen Hurts being a running back.
But you hear all about Lamar being a running back.
But Lamar.
Oh, just come listen to me talk. I'll fill that void for
The
you.
problem is that you're injured. Take a couple games off.
Quit doing the tush
Won
push.
11 games.
Quit doing the tush push.
Stop using your body so much and take a week or 2 if you're that hurt, it affects your performance that much that you can't throw the ball deep. Maybe take a couple weeks
Or
off.
on time.
Yeah, no, for real.
Buddy can't get the ball out.
Push with Saquon Barkley
I
under
don't
center.
get that. Yeah, why not?
Matt, first of all, imagine the season Barkley would be having if he got the 13 1-yard touchdowns that Jalen Hurts currently has. He'd have 24 touchdowns. And on the ground alone, plus whatever he's through the air, he'd be winning the MVP. Yeah. But instead, Jalen Hurts likes to do it and get pushed and hit and shoved. It's like, buddy, I get it, you're strong. You showed us, you're strong. We get it. Stop it. Stop it. If you're going to keep getting hurt.
Just as much as you, if not more.
Definitely more.
Also, we should have one less because everyone but the center moved against Baltimore.
Yes.
And that pissed me off because no one called it.
No, of course they didn't.
Anyways,
That's probably my favorite ref explanation when they throw a flag. False start, everybody but the center. That gets me every single time. Number 5, dropping from number 2 last week. I do have Buffalo here. A slight drop with the loss, but Josh Allen, obviously, huge dong.
Yeah, massive.
Just comes out. Now he's minus 400 on FanDuel for MVP. Like, he's got it pretty much locked unless he lays an egg the last few games of the season. The reason I dropped him, the 3 spots there, is more so just their defense.
Yeah.
Nate, you talked about it. Defense moving forward could be a concern for Buffalo, especially against some of these high-powered offenses they're going to have to see in the playoffs. You talk about Baltimore. You talk about Kansas City. You talk about Pittsburgh.
There it is.
But
Jets.
talk about the Jets. And then honorable mention, I do have Pittsburgh Steelers here in my power rankings as well. How can you drop them? What, Russ, 6-1, 7-1 as a starter?
Yeah.
They're rolling. Yeah. They're absolutely rolling. But that's my 5. Lions, Vikings, Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, Steelers.
Okay. Those are the power rankings.